This is Rafi Cruzon, and you are tuned in to Nothing But That Sports Talk.
I was like,
And we are back with another episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk, previewing the WNBA playoffs. I mean, obviously, you're going to be hearing more discussions about the Liberty and the Mystics. And yeah, this is the same Mystics that Liberty lost to begin the year, and they lose to finish the season. Geoff, you've been locked into Liberty all season long. What do you think? What is the confidence level for yourself, being not just a fan but a journalist covering New York Liberty, that they can take out the Mystics in the first round?
well, first of all, Rafiq, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me. You do good work, and it's always an honor to be on the show. So thank you for that. So what this team does, what this team has really done has it's evolved leaps and bounds from the start of the season. That 60, I think it was something along the lines of a 16-point loss feels like forever ago, 80 to 60 at the beginning of the season. And of course, there's always there is a sense of sourness in the sense that this is how you bookend the seasons with the season with losses to the very team you're playing in the first round. A first round where two wins can change it all. Just how quickly we forget last year. The Liberty coming close to pulling off an upset against the Chicago Sky, winning that first game over in Skytown, and then dropping the next two. The second one in blowout fashion. The third one, a game that was a lot closer than the final scoreboard indicated. But then one of the players behind you, Mrs. Courtney Vandersloot, took over, and the rest is history, as one would say. So I do believe, however, the confidence is high going into this matchup because this New York team is firing on all cylinders. Because I really hesitate to use the term super team, mainly because the players and coaching staff alike have more or less said we don't see ourselves as that. When you're looking at a team, however, that is stocked to the brim with so many downright historic, downright elite talents. The ironic part of that conversation is you're only as good as your quote unquote depth stars, your bench, your role players out there. And that group is starting to find its groove at exactly the right time of the season. You look at Marie Johannes starting to find her confidence, starting to find her outside shooting groove back. You look at Steph Dolson, who had to miss about 6-7 weeks with an injury. She's starting to find her groove back. How quickly we forget the penultimate game of the regular season, which saw her shooting for giving Sabrina Ionescu a run from her money with her deep shooting. How impressive was that? We forget about Kayla Thornton out there. She's really been, I dare say, one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable addition to this group. In terms of adding to that depth, and in terms of creating the defensive spark that's been missing from this group for the past couple of years. So this is a New York team where, despite the loss on Sunday, that buzzer-beating loss, where the confidence is high. And I think it says a lot that, the Liberty will be the first to admit that they did not play to the best of their abilities on Sunday. They struggled to close things out at the end. But the fact that they were able to come back from, I believe it was a 12-point deficit with about, I want to say 6.5, just over 6.5 minutes remaining in that game. They came back and were able to tie it in the final seconds. And it was only through absolute Brittany Sykes magic, hey, they're playing the Mystics, what do you know, that they were able to pull that off. So I do think the confidence level is high with this group. I think they're going into this with trust in each other, trust in the team, trust in management. And I think that's very apparent because, Jonathan Cobb's magnum opus to this point might well be convincing both Benijah Laney and Kayla Thornton to come back on this team on multi-year deals. So it goes to show that there's a plan for this group, not just for the present, but for the future as well.
Exactly. This is, and I've said this a lot with my friend Warren Walker. You met him when you first came on the show.
Absolutely.
This is literally the best regular, at least during the regular season. This is the best New York Liberty roster that we've seen in a while since Teresa Witherspoon. And Teresa Witherspoon, I mean, you've seen her have conversations about that so many times, or at least you know of. I mean, or I know for sure. Teresa Witherspoon's admiring this type of Liberty team that is assembled together. They're not just, it's not just the wins and a lot. It's not just piling up a lot of wins, but it's what they do for the culture of New York sports. People want to go to games. You never got a chance to see me, but I went to a game against Chicago Sky back in June, and unfortunately, they end up losing that game. But that's what it. But it's me to say that those losses kind of affected them getting the number one seed. But which leads to this one question: is it good or bad that the Liberty are finishing number 2 compared to number 1?
Well, of course, look, number one is always where you want to be. Number one will be cream of the crop, top of the heap, as Sinatra himself once said. So I feel that, obviously you'd rather be number one than number two, but at the same time, it puts them in a spot where they can face quote unquote familiar competition. Whether that plays to their advantage or whether that plays to their detriment remains to be seen. Because if they win this one, for all intents and purposes, they'll face the Connecticut Sun, who are in the 3-6 matchup. I believe they're playing Atlanta, are they not?
Nah, they're playing the Minnesota Lynx.
Oh yes, that's right. They are playing the Lynx. That's right. So that should be interesting too. But Minnesota, good story. I don't want to discount them by any stretch of the
Nah, you
imagination.
can't,
I
especially
just
since they're being coached by Cheryl Reeve. You know,
Oh yes, exactly. I
you
mean,
know what she built. You know what she built for the Minnesota Lynx in 2010s. You know that.
Oh yes, cool. Look. We know we are everyone who's watched even 5 minutes of WNBA basketball knows what Cheryl Reeve is capable of. And yes, you're right about that. Dallas is playing Atlanta. That should be an intriguing 4-5 matchup. But those are two teams that played the Liberty real well during the regular season, even if the final record didn't show it. All the matchups I believe with Minnesota were either close or closer than the scoreboard indicated. Minnesota even squeaked out a win against them in the rescheduled game
Back
due
in
to the
August.
Canadian wildfire haze. So those are two teams that match up well against them. But you avoid that Dallas Atlanta logjam at 4-5 a little bit. That should be a very intriguing matchup. They should any team right now is capable of of giving the elite teams fits out there. And I think that should be interesting. You don't want to discount what Minnesota has done by any stretch of the imagination. I just think that they've done them. They dug themselves into a hole early and spent the rest of the season digging themselves out. So it'll probably be a case of so much time was spent digging themselves out of the hole and putting themselves back up near the top. That turned out to be the biggest stretch of all. So I feel like Connecticut will have that one, though Minnesota will not make it easy. So I do think that obviously you want to have that one spot. You want to have the assurances of having eternal home court advantage throughout the playoffs, especially with the way that these Liberty players have lauded and praised the job that the sixth woman, if you will, at Barclays Center has risen to the occasion and really come out and support their team. I mean, you see it in the background, in your background right there. I believe our mutual friend and colleague Jackie Powell shared some photos around Brooklyn today. Really looks like the city's coming out for it.
Along with Miles, and of course Christine Williams, because I saw social media. They went to the New York. They made an appearance in the New York Post, interviewed by Dexter Henry, talking about the WNBA playoffs. And
Yeah, exactly. I think that they're going to Brooklyn, that is just really going to come out and really push things forward. It's going to be a big advantage for them, but that's why the Commissioner's Cup victory was so big too. That gave the Liberty the confidence a little bit that Vegas's armor is penetrable. Vegas can be beaten at home, and that was good. That was just good from a Liberty assurance standpoint, and they will bask in the relative glory of the Commissioner's Cup. That was such a big step for this franchise, especially when that has been
exactly. At the very least, Liberty wants some hardware.
Yes, exactly. And their first brand of hardware, their first banner, as a matter of fact, since the Eastern Conference Finals run in 2002. So, that was huge for this organization. It shows that they want to win and shows that there's a path forward beyond this season. So I really think that was big for them. And that was big in the sense, too, that they can go into Vegas and win a game because, the old axiom says you're never in trouble in the postseason until you lose at home. So it was big nonetheless to have these two games against Washington at home. So really eager to see what the sixth woman can do for the Liberty out there this week in Brooklyn starting on Friday night.
Exactly. It's going to be a big matchup. I mean, we see some big games going between New York Liberty and the Mystics. From the Conference line win back in late June, and also, of course, the late second buzzer beater by Brittany Sykes. That's why I had to ask you that question, because I feel like the Brittany Sykes buzzer beater kind of like dropped my confidence a little bit, because it shows you the Mystics are not a team to sleep on. And
not at all.
Elena Dawn was playing
not at all. And I think
was playing hard defense on Brianna Stewart. She only scored 9 points in the last game.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, look, I think that I think you look at anyone in this WNBA bracket. You have 8 teams, and you have 8 teams that are capable of beating anyone on a given night. It's probably for the best that the single game elimination was eliminated, because we perhaps see some of the top dogs eliminated before the second round. So I'm curious to see. And I just feel bad for Liberty in the sense that they play Phoenix real well in, what was that, 2021? They play Phoenix real well in that opening series. 2021.
2021. I'm just gonna class it because not the roster no more. She messed it up.
Wait, who's this?
I said I'm glad. I mean, that was with Bernard Delaney tied the game up only for Sammy Wickham to foul Breonna Turner while playing hard defense. She played hard defense. She could. I mean, I was kind of upset that happened, but whatever.
I mean, you look, Sammy should be well known for exploits well beyond that. That's just an unfortunate footmark. She did her job in New York and then some. But at the same time, I feel bad for Liberty because 2021 is a single game playoff when they take Phoenix to the literal brink in the desert, and then the next year they win the first game in Chicago. But what do you know? It's a best of 3 sets. So I just. Oh my goodness, how cursed can this franchise get? It goes to show even the Liberty are not kind of exempt from the curse that has engulfed New York sports right now. So, but having said that, they are far and away the city's most legitimate hope to win a title, and that extends to the tri-state area too. Tell Ryan I'm sorry to he and his fellow New Jersey Devils fans out there. So.
And you know what? This I have a feeling this series is going to be so much better than the single elimination game that they had against the Mystics back in 2017. The only had about 9 3-pointers. When I'm looking back at that loss, I was like, the Liberty better not lose this series to the Mystics. They better not.
No, exactly. Mystics have been a frequent playoff foe for New York 4 times. I know New York's won 3, but that one in 2017 was heartbreaking for sure. But you also have, I think, the 1 year right before, what was it? Kia Stokes stuffing Shea Petty at or near the buzzer at some point. So safe to say there's a lot of playoff history between these two. So really looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. I think it will go the 3-game distance. I will say Liberty in 3 in this one. Washington is, Washington is slowly morphing into that, quote, one team you don't want to face come playoff time, and they just so happen to land in the Liberty's bracket. That's another reason why getting the 1 seed was so important too. But of course, that kind of was out of their control.
That wasn't going to happen. The Aces schedule was just way too easy in the final weeks of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Phoenix. You look at Phoenix. They were long done. They were just playing out the stretch. So it's unfortunate, but hey, like Parcells said, you are what your record is. You control that, and this team took a while to find its groove, to find its rhythm a little bit. But now that they found it, it's safe to say they're firing on all cylinders. So that should make for a very intriguing playoff run. I'm looking to see how it starts on Friday night.
Yep, very intriguing indeed. Now, we're done talking about some Liberty and Mystics. Watch it out, Friday and Tuesday. I can't wait to see what kind of interviews and coverage you do down there, Geoff Magliocchetti. I look forward to it.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Rafiq. I'm looking forward to it too. Very blessed to have covered this team for the past few years. Very blessed to have witnessed its evolution. So looking forward to see the next steps.
And you're 2 rounds away from covering your first WNBA finals. I've covered it for 2 years already, so I can say look forward to the moment.
I did do 1 game a couple years back. It was Washington, as a matter of fact. I went up to Mohegan for 1 game, Connecticut, Washington. Covered that game. Sat all the way in that upper deck up there. Boy, that was interesting. But no, I'm looking forward to my.
So you cover teams outside of New York sports?
I do cover teams. I mean, that's what part of my work is for SI. As a matter of fact, I cover several sites, contribute to several sites out there. But no, I was working with Winsider at the time. They do great work over there. Winsider, I believe our mutual pal Miles is over there. So yeah, I was with Winsider at the time, and I was like, oh, I'm in driving distance with Mohegan. How about I'll do a write up of sorts. I think I forget exactly what I wrote about. I think I wrote about Washington's bench contributions, as a matter of fact, after that game. So that was a lot of fun. But looking forward to seeing it from a local perspective. Knock on wood, of course, this time around.
Yeah, and I spoke to Eric Thibault about it earlier this week, and he said that the Business and Liberty is like literally an anticipated matchup. If you listen to my video that I posted on YouTube, he'll say it.
No, look, I think it's by far perhaps the most evenly matched series so far. I think Dallas Atlanta will give them a run for their money too. That should be one of the big toss-ups. I just worry about the Wings and Dream. From that perspective, I worry about those two sides kind of beating each other up before either of them even get a shot at Vegas, provided, of course, they handle their own business against the Chicago Sky. And look, you want to say that's a certainty in this sense, but hey, we saw it. Look at the NHL, look at the NBA. 8 seeds rising to the occasion. The Florida Panthers, the Miami Heat. Let's see what happens, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it, especially in a 3-game series. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens indeed. Now, on to some NFL talk, and obviously you saw what happened the first week because that team right there, that team on the top left got smoked by the Dallas Cowboys. Thoughts?
Yes, I mean, look, that had to be that was the Murphy's Law of football games right there. That had because anything that could have gone wrong for the New York Giants in that game did go wrong for the New York Giants in that game. Injuries, of course, notwithstanding. So, they just got hit in the mouth, and that's probably the one thing that hasn't happened in the Brian Dable era just yet. They have to, get back on track against NFC competition. You want to win against, the Washington, whatever you want to call them, whatever name they've had over the past few years, the Giants have seemed to have their number.
Washington Commanders.
Yes, whatever you want to refer to that team, the Commanders, you name it. But I feel that in terms of Washington, beating the Commanders is one thing. You want to do that, that's fine. You want to be up on the Commanders, it's perfectly okay. Having said that,
just don't tie with them. That's all I gotta say.
Well, that's easier said than done in today's NFL, but the Jets proved that the other one. The Jets actually did a good job of that. But the thing about that, you want to be up with the Commanders, fine. But if you want to be truly an elite team in this NFL, you have to do well against divisional competition. And the most one-sided games of this Brian Dable era so far have come against Dallas and Philadelphia. And that's not the way you want to open up this season. It's not the way you want to build on the momentum established last year. The Giants are in an intriguing position where it's not going to be cute anymore to go 9-8. It's not going to be cute to be on the cusp of the playoffs. You set an expectation last year, and now you have to back that up, especially considering you're more or less running it back with the same team at this point. You will be. No one's expecting no one in their right mind was perhaps expecting a Giants Super Bowl run. I think there are too many established contenders in the NFC, i.e. the Philadelphia Eagles, i.e. i.e. down the San Francisco 49ers. I feel that, it's tough enough because you're in the toughest division in football. So it'd be a little much to expect this Giants team to go on to expect to make a Super Bowl run. But having said that, there were heightened expectations this year, and losing 40-0, getting shut out in today's NFL, in an NFL that not so silently worships a deity known as fantasy football and adores the offensive side of the ball, in an NFL where you get a spot of the foul penalty for looking at the receiver the wrong way. It's so hard to get shut out, and yet the Giants did that. So I feel that they have a prime opportunity to recover this week. They're playing the woebegone Arizona Cardinals, who admittedly put up a decent performance against the Washington Commanders, although I feel that says more about Washington than it does Arizona. So I'm eager to see how they bounce back this week, but it's a prime opportunity for them. But you just got to do anything to get the stench of that 40-0 defeat out of your nose as soon as possible. Hence why you have to jump on Arizona quickly and often. You want to say that there's a sense of bullying when it comes to a Cardinals team like this. That's what the Giants have to do. They have to get out there and more or less bully Arizona into submission on Sunday and really get themselves back on the right track, if not for their own sake. So eager to see how they recover from that, because let's be real. This is a talented team. They're not going to lose every single game 40-0. At least they shouldn't. I shouldn't say it, because the NFL is a weird place. Perfection, I think, is hard to obtain in the NFL. I don't see one of the hills I will always die on. No team in the NFL history is ever, or in the NFL future, is ever going undefeated again. I do not see that happening by any stretch of the imagination. But going imperfect, you could do that. We'll just look at the Lions not too long ago. Look at the Browns not too long ago. So I feel that they won't lose every game 40-0. They're too darn talented for that. But they need to prove that talent and prove that worth on Sunday against Arizona, against an Arizona team that might be feeling a little good about themselves, counting up some moral victories out in D.C.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a matter of slowing down Kyle Murray and Larry Fitzgerald and making sure Larry they play good defense on Larry Fitzgerald. The passing defense has to improve, and they can't allow what they've allowed in the last game. And the special teams have the defense and offense have to step up. We didn't see enough of that in the last game.
I mean, Kyler Murray's not playing. Kyler Murray's hurt, and Fitzgerald, fortunately for the Giants in this case, retired not too long ago. I mean,
Oh,
trust me,
oh,
I didn't want to see Fitzgerald go. I feel seeing guys like Larry Fitzgerald retire, that makes me feel so old. Guys I watched growing up, coming up through the draft, I'm like, oh my God, don't retire. I feel so old. As Calvin Hobbs once said, another nostalgic bit of childhood goes. That's how I felt when Fitzgerald retired. That's how I felt recently in NASCAR when Kurt Busch retired. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, he's gone. But hey, that helps the Giants' case, as a matter of fact. But yeah, but that's another reason why they have to take care of business. They have to take advantage of a Cardinals team that's going with an inexperienced quarterback in Josh Dobbs, and who knows, maybe they'll get so frustrated they'll put in rookie Clayton Tune. So they need to take advantage of a downtrodden Arizona team that's really going through it right now, really trying to find some good vibes out there. That's why they have to pounce early and they have to pounce often.
and that's what they had to do. It looked like they were going to do that, but then that blocked field goal changed everything. The Giants had to do much better in special teams, as I mentioned. I mean, it shouldn't be a problem against Arizona down the road. But what about the games later in this? What about the games later? As well, I had a special guest not too long ago named Tatiana Small, who's like an associate producer for ESPN. She did pick the Cowboys. She did pick the Giants to beat the Cowboys last week, but they end up losing at the end. And she did pick them to win the Arizona game. So let's just hope that she's at least right about that one.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned who they have to face, and look, if Dallas wasn't that forgiving, a Dallas team that is probably destined for the top wild card in the NFC. Can they beat Philly? Maybe, but yeah, I would like to see that. So that's a discussion for another day. The next few weeks for the Giants don't get any easier after this because they go to Arizona, and then there's hardly any rest. Then they have to go into a Thursday nighter against San Francisco, a San Francisco team that looked pretty darn good against Pittsburgh on Sunday.
Brock Purdy is no joke.
Pardon?
Brock Purdy is no joke, my guy.
Oh God, he is anything but Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah, don't take a shot every time you hear that joke. You'll be dead by the first commercial break of Sunday's 1 o'clock or so. Don't do that. My advice to you. But Monday, then they open October with a Monday nighter against Seattle. That's at home, fortunately. But then they got to go Miami 6 days later and play. Hey, look at the way Tua Tagovailoa played. They got to face that in Miami on October 8th. And then they have to play the Buffalo Bills. And that's another primetime game. So we are realistically looking at a Giants team that could well be 2-4, perhaps, by the time they get to the latter stages of October, where they close out against the Commanders and Jets. So we're looking at a dangerous period for this Giants group right now. And, that's what makes more this is the sin. This is the repercussion of the sin of getting shut out on Sunday night against Dallas. This is what you have to do. You have to bully and pound Arizona into submission to get your confidence back and prove to the NFL that last season was no fluke. Prove to NFL teams why they should still be afraid of you. As a matter of fact, they need to build as much momentum as they can as they enter a dangerous portion in this schedule. So, again, as Parcells said, you are what your record is. It doesn't matter that Arizona is bad. It doesn't matter that the Cardinals are a downtrodden team right now. This isn't the college football playoff. You're not playing for style points. The Giants need to get in there and just find a way to win on Sunday. But having said that, the bigger the better, if only for their own sake.
Exactly. And since we're on the subject of looking at the Giants schedule, why don't you tell me about your win-loss predictions for the New York Giants going forward? I mean, after the Cowboys loss.
All right. If we're going game by game, apologies. If we're going game by game, I apologize if I drone on. But Arizona, that should be a win. 1-1.
Okay. San Francisco,
loss 1-2.
How about at home against the Seattle Seahawks?
I'll give them a win there. A nice little Monday night. I'll give them a win. 2-2.
Okay, that's nice. On the road against the Miami Dolphins.
If we get the Miami we saw Sunday, which I don't see why not. Knock on wood for Tua Tagovailoa injury. I'll say that's a loss.
Okay, that's fair. On the road against the Buffalo Bills,
Could be enough.
assuming we can force some turnovers of Josh Allen like the Jets did against Josh Allen earlier this week on Monday Night Football, but the Jets is a conversation for later. Do you have the Giants win that game?
Could be an opportunity to steal one, but I still think on paper right now Buffalo takes that one. So 2-4, but subject to change. Let's see how Buffalo recovers from Monday.
And home against the Washington Commanders.
We'll give them a win.
And home New York Jets.
MetLife Civil War. Oh boy, that could be ugly at the rate these teams are two going. I'll give them a win in that one. I'll give them a win.
Okay, that's fair. On the road against Las Vegas Raiders.
Let's go win.
Okay, that's nice. On the road against the Dallas Cowboys. Week 10.
Loss because I hate predicting divisional sweeps, but at this point in time, the Giants have given me no evidence that they're capable of beating the Cowboys as constructed right now. And this year's Dallas team is better than last year's, and so I'm gonna give them a loss in that one.
On the road against the Commanders, Week 11.
We'll split that one. That's a loss.
Okay. At home against the New England Patriots. Mac Jones Patriots.
Well, thanks for clarifying. But home field advantage, they'll beat this Patriots 6-6.
Okay, that's nice. Let's see. They got a bye week 13, week 14. They're at home against Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football.
Coming off a bye, I think they'll take that one. Give them 7-6.
Okay, week 15 on the road against the New Orleans Saints.
New Orleans kind of bored me on Sunday. I'll give the Giants on that one.
Okay. Week 16 on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Loss.
And it's on Christmas Day too.
I know, yeah, very saddest Christmas since everyone in Whoville lost their presents. But hey, they made the best out of that one actually. So what am I saying?
New Year's Eve, week 17 against the Los Angeles Rams. At home.
Rams impressed me on Sunday, but let's say that's a win for now. So and then the last one's against Philadelphia. So I say that's 9-8. They'll go 9-8 and that. Whether that's enough to
that's a win week 18 against Philadelphia, that's a win or a loss.
Oh no, that's a loss. So they'll go 9-8.
9-8. That's fair.
9-8. That's more or less where I had them at the start of the year, I believe. I did have the Giants. My original prediction for the Giants was getting the second NFC wild card again, but losing to one of my NFC finalists in Detroit. I was a big believer in Detroit this year. I did not have them beating Kansas City on Thursday, but I feel that I felt that's where the Giants were headed. Now 9-8. Whether that's enough to
qualify for the postseason. That all how everything draws out, the tiebreakers and everything, because it's going to be tough to make the postseason at 9 wins and 8 losses. They made it at 9-7, 9-7-1.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. But I think you're right about that in the sense that I mean, look, if we were going through the whole schedule, we'd be here all day. But 9-8, it's somewhat easier to make it thanks to the seventh seeds, thanks to the second to the third wild card. Excuse me. So, but that depends. There could be contenders that we didn't expect, especially going by week one's result. Will we have to worry about the Rams again? Will folks have to worry about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who put up a very nice performance on the road against Minnesota? Will we have to worry about the Vikings? Will we have to worry about the Packers, who really seem to get back in the groove of things under Jordan Love and resume their ownership of the Chicago Bears? Will we have to worry about, again, Washington? Is Sam Howell for real? I'm not sure at this point, but they are 1-0. You are what your record is. So whether that's enough remains to be seen. But I personally think it should be. But again, I don't think what we saw on Sunday is the final form of this Giants team. Eager to see what comes out of it.
Exactly. Now on to that team on the left, on the right side of the room, right there. You know the helmet.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
team.
yeah, yeah. I'm reversed here, so I'm like, yeah, but
Yeah, I'm
yeah, I
talking
get it.
about
There you go.
that team. What are your overall thoughts on the win outside of unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers got injured this past week. All the hype of him coming to the New York Jets and playing his first few snaps, he gets injured, he's done for the year. It's
Yeah.
pretty much a Tom Brady injury all over again, but worse. Remember that injury 28? Oh, excuse me. It's pretty much the Tom Brady injury in 2008 all over again, but worse.
I mean, look, I'm not a doctor, so I can't accurately comment on that. It does hurt more because Rogers suffered the injury when when he's going into his 40s, so that does sting a little bit. But one thing that stood out to me about Rogers is that he's told anyone who will listen that he wants to fulfill his contract, his commitment to the Jets, and has dedicated himself. That's made it different from the Brett Favre situation. Rogers from the get-go told anyone who will listen that he wanted to stick around here for multiple years. So I feel that he'll do anything in his power to get back on the field in a Jet uniform someday. So right now, the Jets do have bigger problems at this point. So, and to answer the question about how to feel after Monday's win, I got to tell you, leave it to the Jets to win what is bar none probably the most bittersweet victory in the history of professional sports. Like, how does this happen? You lose your hyped up quarterback 4 plays in the season and you end up winning. That's insane. But now here comes the hard part. Now you got 16 games to go. So that's the hard part. Now what's going to happen from here? Funnily enough, I think the Jets are not in as dire straits as most would assume because they had to go through a similar situation last year and they won 7 games before kind of the bottom fell out, and they kind of had to go play out the stretch and whatnot. So eager to see what happens. But this is what Joe Douglas prepared for. What Joe Douglas did last offseason, and to a lesser extent, the couple of off seasons before that, was he made a comfortable environment that would survive not only for Arron Rodgers, but for Arron Rodgers' potential successor as well. The Jets have a strong defense. They have a young group of receivers, a young talented group of receivers, combining that with the knowledge of Rodgers' Green Bay teammates, i.e. Alan Lazard, i.e. Randall Cobb, and Dalvin Cook in the backfield as well. So and you can't forget Breece Hall, who really just picked up the offensive slack on Monday. That was really exciting to see, along with Garrett Wilson and his acrobatic catch in the end zone. Whew, catch of the year, week 1. Who'd have thunk it? But I feel that the Jets are in well enough a position where Douglas's goal was to go out and again find someone to win with Rodgers and find people to win with Rodgers and find people for the future. Now, no one on the Jets team with Rodgers in tow had to do more than their shared part, although they more than likely would have been more than happy to. Everyone would have been happy to contribute more. They're professionals, and we saw that in Hard Knocks this year. Even if that is meant to make that certain team look good, no one had to do more than their fair share because Rodgers had to pick up the slack for a mediocre Green Bay team last year and brought them to the cusp of the playoffs. The Jets last year, their defense had to pick up for slow offensive performances because the true absence that sunk the Jets last season was Breece Hall. Once Breece Hall went down, that's when kind of the bottom fell out for the Jets and they kind of fell into oblivion. So it's Hall staying healthy that you have to worry about. And you don't have to worry about overworking him either because this team has brought in solid depth contributors, depth stars again, to come full circle with the Liberty talk. We're talking about Dalvin Cook. We're talking about Michael Carter back there. These are capable players back there that were originally meant to make originally the intent was to make Arron Rodgers' job easier. But once Rodgers' term expired, 2, 3, 4 years, it was meant to make, his successor's job easier, be it Zach Wilson or be it a face that has yet to reveal himself. So I feel that the Jets are not in as dire straits as many project them to be.
Exactly. It's going to be very difficult because Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be the team that gets the Jets back into the postseason. They now have the longest playoff drought in sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think with this lineup, they can at least contend for the postseason. Now, Super Bowl dreams,
you can't
that's another conversation.
You can't ignore Allen Lazard. That was a major pickup in the wide receiver core.
Of course, and Garrett Wilson seems to have taken the next step. Again, this is a group that can, help now and later, or it was originally meant to help now and later, and now they're just fulfilling their later purpose just a little earlier. Now, whether Zach Wilson proves himself to be a capable replacement for Rodgers, look, let's be honest. Zach Wilson's not going to get to Arron Rodgers' point this season, if not ever. So maybe we hold off on that one. But in a temporary, in a pinch, let's see what Rodgers has taught him early going. Let's see what Rodgers has done. And I think that as much as they insist that Wilson is the guy, Wilson is who they will stick with. I do think that they'll go scour the free agent front. And there are some crazy names I've seen out there. Tom Brady. Stop trying to make Tom Brady happen. It's not going to happen. But you look at other names on the roster, other names on the free agent front out there. Colt McCoy would certainly be someone to keep an eye on. I personally would talk to Indianapolis about picking up Gardner Minshew in a trade. That's certainly a direction worth going, though Indianapolis might want to keep that veteran backup. Having said that, I think they will add somebody. It's just a question of who. But let's see what Zach Wilson has learned from Arron Rodgers. Can't forget Tim Boyle either, because I'm shocked that Tim Boyle is not being given more of a chance, because Tim Boyle's entire purpose, it feels like, has been to be ready for when Arron Rodgers goes down. And in an offense that's tailor-made for Arron Rodgers to run, why not get his understudy who's been working this for years? I mean, hey, it's New York. Understudies, Broadway, as Kramer once said on Seinfeld. Understudies, they're a shifty bunch. So I feel that he should be kept. People should keep an eye on him as well. So eager to see what happens. But with a defense and with the young talents that Joe Douglas and company have acquired over the past years, not to mention the trust that Robert Saleh has gained with his players in a relatively short time span, I feel that the Jets are down but not out.
Yeah, they're not out. But let's see how far not out they are as we make our win-loss predictions for the New York Jets. I mean, obviously, nobody ever made their win-loss predictions for the New York Jets yet. But to finish up the conversation before we get to that, next week they got the Dallas Cowboys. Can the Jets pull a much better performance statistically against the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants?
I mean, what's that going to take? A few first downs on the opening drive? Come on, Rafiq. But what's that going to take? That's not going to take much effort. I'm sorry, but I think they will, for the record. But I don't see them escaping with that. I don't see them escaping with that one. Coming in with the coming in so mentally downtrodden at the idea of losing Rodgers, coming in and beating the Cowboys is, especially in Arlington. That's a lot. That's a tough ask. So that's a loss.
Yeah. Very funny you said that. What a way to start off. And home against New England Patriots. They lost 14 in a row against New England Patriots. But it's mostly good defense on Zach Wilson. Not because Zach Wilson didn't do a good job. It was supposed to be a winnable game, but it all came down to better defense. They lost the first game they lost was because they picked off Zach Wilson 4 times. The second time they lost, it was a defensive slugfest, both tied at 3, but the special teams defense got the best of the New York Jets that time.
Shout out Marcus Jones. Wow.
The Jets beat the Patriots this time around.
It's the home game, right? It's at MetLife.
Yeah, it's at MetLife.
Yeah, I'll give them that one. I think like if the Jets do nothing else this season, beat New England. Enough of this. Because the one thing that the Patriots have kept doing since Tom Brady retired is beating the Jets. So if you
everybody's beating the New York Jets.
If you do one thing this season, if you're a Jets fan, if you win one more game the rest of the year, make it one of the New England games, and I'll give them this one. Yes, let's give that a win. Now the latter matchup, I'm not so sure about, but let's give them that one.
Well, it depends on the type of Zach Wilson we get. I mean, they only put that matchup on NBC because Arron Rodgers was a quarterback, but now that he's down and out, it's up for Zach Wilson to step up against Patrick Mahomes, one of the ones who won 2 Super Bowls already. Do you see the Jets winning this game?
No.
Yeah, Yeah,
Even with Rodgers, that was going to be a tall task. And Kansas City might be down in the dumps right now. It is taking everything in my power not to pick Jacksonville to beat them on Sunday. I'm really high on the Jaguars this year. I think they're going to the AFC title game. But for the life of me, I do not see Kansas City dropping to 0-2. So Kansas City will have something to prove. Travis Kelce might be back at that time too. So I don't see that happening. 2-2.
on the road, week 5 against the Denver Broncos. They beat the Broncos last year. Do you see them continuing that trend?
I do. Because like I said, last year team wasn't as stacked, and now they're pushing in the right direction. So I think that's a win.
Yeah, that's a win. And now here's another interesting matchup for the rest of the season. Week 6 at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about them struggling not to beat New England Patriots. How about the Jets never defeated the Philadelphia Eagles in franchise history?
Yeah, that's right. I don't. Yeah, they are winless against them. That's crazy. I don't see it happening. But having said that, Philadelphia didn't look so hot against New England on Sunday. So you never know. It'll be that one could be closer than people think, especially if the Jets defense comes playing in at full strength. So I don't think it'll happen, but drop them 3-3.
Okay. All right. On the road against the New York, you already gave your predictions about the New York Giants. So
I did. I gave the Giants that one, but I might be prone to rethinking that, considering it's coming out the Jets bye. But what's done is done. What's done is done. Let's call that a wash. 3-4.
yeah. Los Angeles Chargers at home, week 9.
Let's give them a win there.
All right. On the road against Las Vegas Raiders.
Win. Puts them at 5-4.
On the road against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I think Buffalo will earn a split 5-5.
That's fair. At home against the Miami Dolphins.
Miami, Tua Tagovailoa can't throw for 500 yards all season, can he? Because especially all right, give me a split against Miami. We'll come to it later when they get their road game, but I think that's a win, especially Black Friday. It's gonna be loud there. Let's call it a win.
All right, at home against the Atlanta Falcons.
Win.
At week 14 against Houston Texans.
Oh wow, win.
Now, week 15 on the road against the Miami Dolphins. You just said they're going to split with them, so I'll just give them an L.
They'll split with them, yes.
Week 16 at home against the Washington Commanders.
Ooh. What I got them at 8. I got them at 8-6 this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it Washington. I'll give Washington. Jets win that one.
All right. That puts them at 9-6. 17.
Browns, right?
On the road against the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, that's their Thursday nighter. Oh boy. And Cleveland looked really good on Sunday. For the time being, Cleveland.
So Cleveland gets that win?
Cleveland gets that win, yes.
All right. Week 18 on the road against the New England Patriots. The Jets have struggled down there. I mean, Fox.
Oh my God. You know what? I'm gonna give that to New England because it would be the most Jets thing in the world to come in there needing a win and falling against a downtrodden Patriots team. So I'll put them at 9-8. Again, who knows if that'll be enough to clinch a playoff spot, but just again,
let's get 9-8 with this one.
Yeah, get over 500 to clinch a winning season. I think they should be capable of doing that because let's face it, Buffalo is still a good team, and the Jets defense managed to carry water for them. So I feel that 9-8, even without Brett Favre, even if you have to go with Zach Wilson the rest of the year, it's a realistic goal. But keep feeding Brees, keep feeding Dalvin Cook, keep feeding Michael Carter. That's the way to go. And as long as the defense keeps playing up to its abilities, 9-8 is a very realistic goal for this group.
Yeah, you got both New York teams at 9-8, which is fair because well, they're not in the same level as the title contenders yet.
Yeah, just think that they're in the division with contenders. Like the Jets have to deal with Philadelphia twice. The Jets have one more matchup with Buffalo. They got to play an up and coming Miami team, and that's just the hand they've been dealt. So 9-8, I think, are two realistic goals for these two teams, especially realistic and admirable goals for his teams, especially with the way their respective seasons started.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Well, let's just hope that everything comes true, or at least see above expectations.
Yeah, one would hope, right? I mean, no one goes to bed on before week one, or as I like to call it, Christmas Eve, and goes, "Ooh, bring me a 98 record."
That's why I make those win-loss predictions. I make sure I write it down, I track it down. I'm gonna get back to you on that one to see. I'm making sure I'm keeping my notes this time around.
Oh, Rafiq, you are keeping receipts. How dare you? Oh my goodness.
Hey, that's what journalism is all about.
Yes. Hey, holding people accountable. I
mean, how many times have you watched Tarika Foster Breastfeeds receipts after she makes mistakes about the Liberty this year?
No. I don't like. Tarika does good work. I can't call her out for the life of me. Oh my goodness, but
I can't call her out either. She's been on my show a couple times.
Of course, yes.
You even give me some constructive criticism, help me accountable for mispronouncing players' names or say the wrong name.
Well, it's not like I've had to worry about that problem. Check out that last name. My goodness, right?
Well, now up this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Thank you for stopping by. For Geoff Magliocchetti, I'm Rafiq Louison. Enjoy the NFL season and the WNBA playoffs as New York Liberty look to win the first championship, starting this Friday against the Mystics.